5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Speaking Cinema, serious movie Jibber Jabber, coming to you from Hollywood, planet Earth, California, Los Angeles, America.
Planet Hollywood?
Fucking time out.
Come on, it was a good joke. It was a good joke.
I'm making that joke.
Just let me get there.
So I don't know where this went. What the hell? Here with me today is the Jibber, Kevin Merritt.
Hello.
Hello, Kev. And the Jabber, Matt.
Hello.
This week on the Jibber Jabber, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you're going to have to live to enjoy all the glorious fruits life has to offer. Acne, shaving, premature ejaculation, and your first divorce. It is Last Action Hero. From the year of our Lord, 1993. This is a movie picked by none other than our own Matt.
Yes, I picked it.
Last Action Hero is an early meta parody of late 80s and early 90s action movies. Originally conceived by Zach Penn and Adam Leaf as a parody of action movies. It was originally titled Extremely Violent, and it was a parody of overly violent movies like the ones written by Shane Black. And Shane Black, wrote The Last Boy Scout, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, and Predator. Ironically, after this movie was purchased by Columbia at the time, Sony now, it was rewritten by Shane Black. Long story short, the release date was picked, the movie started shooting without a script. And no one knew what they were shooting. Were they shooting what was the original take on it, which was a violent action parody, or a kid's movie?
Those are two very different things.
You know what?
In my, bachelor's degree educated opinion.
Don't qualify it with a bachelor's degree. Don't qualify it with your education. Those are just two. Anyone with a knowledge of what those things mean know that those are different.
Yeah.
Also, famously, it came out the weekend after Jurassic Park, and no one gave a fuck. Critics didn't like it. Audiences didn't like it. It made some money, but the perception of the movie is that it's a bomb. I feel like it's ironic that Arnold stars in this movie, as my memory is that this movie is making fun of Arnold Schwarzenegger-style movies. This is a year after T2, and it's also it's after he had made Kindergarten Cop. He had already made Total Recall. He had already made Twins, Red Heat, Running Man, Predator, Raw Deal, Commando, Red Sonja, Terminator, and both Conan movies. So it's just a weird thing of like, are people ready to satire this dude when, they're loving all of these movies? As of this recording, you can find this movie on Netflix. It's available on DHD. It's also on physical discs. Don't get that pan scan DVD.
No.
It's not worth it. You guys, Last Action Hero. What do we think? Have you heard of this movie? Have you seen it?
Seen it, heard of it, love it. I think it's a great film.
Yeah.
I think it's ahead of its time. Matt, what do you think?
Definitely in agreement on all that. It's like a lot of fun. It's off the wall, crazy. It is ahead of its time. It's full of a satirical element that people weren't necessarily wanting or ready for in that time. It is sort of like a better Tropic Thunder, if I may say. Although this movie does fall apart in the third act, which kind of sucks. But for the most part, what you get out of it in the first hour or so is just pure fun and a lot of great jokes and parody and satirical elements.
Hey McBain, I love your movies, but your last one really sucked. Yeah, Golden Ticket my ass. There's script problems from day one. I'll be in the Hummer. I have never seen this movie.
Really?
I vividly remember the trailers for this movie where Arnold catches the kid as he falls.
Yeah.
Also, as the movie came out after T2, I missed out on all the toys from T2 as I did not know what T2 was. And I remember kids in our class, Matt, had the T2 toys. So I had my mom buy me a Last Action Hero Arnold, which I played with a lot. He kicked the ass of a lot of G.I. Joes, but I never saw this movie. Not on cable.
Not even on USA.
You would think,
Saturday
as much
afternoon.
as I watch USA, and To everyone listening here who doesn't know me, back in the day, I watched a lot of USA.
Reruns of MacGyver.
I
and
watched reruns of MacGyver. I watched
Hellraiser
T2,
3.
T2 a million times.
Miami Vice.
I watched some movie where the bad guys were gigantic mosquitoes like 8 times, but I never saw Last Action Hero.
Wow.
So this will be the first time for me. And this is the first time on this podcast where I've been on the outside, looking in.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So, but I am excited for it. I've done some, in researching the little thing that I wrote there. I mean, this movie does seem very interesting. Will it be good? I don't know. But let's talk about the genre that it's in. It's a very specific kind of action movie. In the 70s, they're like the really gritty like action movies, like Dirty Harry and all the Charles Bronson kind of things.
French Connection.
Yes, but in the late 80s and the early 90s, action had its own feel and flair. It was over the top action but with a lot of practical effects, car chases, bloodless gun battles, a lot of fight choreography that was based on kicking, one-liners, and huge action stars. Do you agree with this assessment? And if you do, are you familiar with these movies?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we all grew up watching the shitty action movies. They're all essentially...
Are they shitty, or are you being facetious?
I'm just being facetious. I mean, some of them were entertaining, but for the most part, they're a lot of throwaway. They're just high concept movies. Like celebrity movie star vehicles. You have essentially a very simple premise of, oh, we're going to team you up with a kid or a velociraptor or I don't know whatever the fuck they were teaming
I think
up.
I missed that one where Jean-Claude Van Damme and a velociraptor team up to fight crime.
Wish that movie was made. But that's all you had in the 80s. You had those type of movies that were you just like what crazy shit can we throw at people? Like what fish out of water story can we give? And this is like the ultimate buddy cop fish out of water movie, and there it is.
Kev?
I feel I appreciate these movies more as I get older. Believe it or not.
There was a time when they were very derided. There was a time in the late 90s and early 2000s where we looked back on these movies and I feel like culturally it was very negative, at least in my bubble.
Agree, especially in like a post 9/11 world, like right after 9/11 happened.
There's an interesting xenophobia in all of these movies, which is made that much more bizarre in that there's lots of foreign, your Dolph Lundgrens, your Arnie's, your JVCDs. Like, these are all dudes who are clearly not American playing Americans, and I mean, I would argue anyone who comes over to America and becomes a citizen is an American, but that was not really the zeitgeist at the time. You know what I mean? It's like we pretend, Arnold Schwarzenegger played more Americans than, you know what I mean? It was very bizarre.
You didn't really think twice about it. Like, you're just like, okay, you just believe that.
Yeah, it's a very good illustration of how times change and how the times dictate what we think is acceptable and appropriate and real. At the time, Jean-Claude Van Damme, clearly a Belgian-French dude, is an American representative in Bloodsport, and that's not a big deal. Also, if he was not the American representative in Bloodsport, please do not correct me. Please.
He was the American representative in Street Fighter as All-American guy.
You know what?
All American.
That's true. It's been a while since I've seen Bloodsport, but I will say, I do fucking love Bloodsport.
But I feel as I get older, these movies are just viciously entertaining. They're fun. They're not pretentious. And I think especially Arnold Schwarzenegger was very self-aware of what he was doing, I think. Like, they know they're making just this big, crazy action movie. And when they
And you still give a fuck.
when they just embrace that, they're just great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because I didn't watch a lot of them when I was a kid either, because my parents weren't big on. They were very much kind of protected us from R-rated movies, even though
Interesting.
I did talk a lot about, saw Alien, saw Akira, but yeah, they kind of weren't into like the mindless Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of movies.
Speaking of mindless Arnold Schwarzenegger style movie, Predator was my first rated R movie.
Hey, that's good. It's a good pick.
And my second rated R movie was Total Recall. Both movies that I feel like would fit into this zeitgeist. And two really outstanding ones.
I think mine was Rain Man.
That was your first rated R movie? Jesus. I also remember seeing part of Commando on TV and loving the fuck out of that movie.
I mean, yeah, it's all
So
just,
many mustaches.
It's very benign, formulaic action fare, which is kind of, sometimes you just want that, and you don't. I think nowadays, I think that they know that they can't get away with that anymore because they need to throw in a twist. They need to throw in some sort of philosophical or some sort of existential crisis or some other bullshit.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you saying that these kinds of action movies still exist?
I think that these movies don't exist anymore. Just the, cut and dry action don't really make a lot of sense. It's more just like a vehicle for an action star. I think a lot of the action movies nowadays do have to be smarter and be more interesting to get people to come in because people got so sick of seeing.
Shout out John Wick.
Yeah, I was just about to pull John Wick.
But John Wick was.
But
that was like actually interesting. I mean, it was nonstop, balls to the wall action, and like a shit ton of violence. But it had like an ebb and a flow that like you understand that this is actually interesting and not just mindless.
And I think with John Wick, a lot of movies, if they make them like that, they're called throwback movies these days.
Right. I don't think this genre of ostensibly one dude who is our version, who is our hero, our but not like a hero, but almost like a superhero.
Yeah.
Our superhero, that's not a literal superhero, going up and fucking up the bad guys. I don't think that exists in the same way. When you get those movies like Salt, that came out a couple years ago with Angelina Jolie, or whatever Tom Cruise does next, they're different. They're not like, the Mission Impossible movies are spy movies. Then the other movies he's in are like sci-fi movies, like that one that he made a couple years ago.
Edge of Tomorrow
Edge of Tomorrow is one of them, and then what was the one before that? I don't know.
Oblivion.
Right? Like, those aren't these same machismo kind of movies. You know what I mean?
They're serious. They seem
very serious.
They're serious, but those ones.
Are they serious?
They seem serious.
They're overly serious.
Compared to like a movie like Cobra or Commando or
Cobra is taking itself so fucking seriously.
But it's so off the wall, insanely.
That's the
in
difference.
America.
Cheesy.
There's a rape every 45 seconds. There's a murder every 2.5 minutes. A violent crime every minute. I'm gonna cut my pizza with the scissors. Did see that one on USA. Did see that one on
movies. That's the fun.
That's the fundamental difference between like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, though. Like Stallone movies feel very like serious, but they're over the top.
So we're saying this
like over the top,
just like the art wrestling masterpiece that is over the top.
So we're saying that this is a small pond, but it goes deep.
It goes deep.
That's what you're saying.
Yep. Whereas Arnold Schwarzenegger movies are I think they're very self-aware of how.
Yeah, they're superficial. It's like
so.
You have this unlikely character, pretending to be American and doing a whole gamut of crazy shit. Like whether he's a kindergarten teacher or if he's, I guess the only one incredible thing he can be is a cyborg, but anything else.
That's the only credible thing.
Oddly enough, the only credible character.
You don't think that Dutch from Predator is a predator? Him being just like a silent military man.
I can buy that. I can buy him just being like a.
You don't think a Racer where he plays exactly the same character doesn't count?
I never saw a Racer.
I saw it.
On you.
Funny story. No. I saw it at Circuit City when my mom bought a stereo.
Really?
And she was talking to the guy for what seemed like an hour and a half because I feel like I watched that whole movie there.
90 minutes of Mom talking to salesman.
Yep.
Watch it on the rear projection, big screen TV.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. The height of technology at the time.
Circuit City.
Circuit City.
State of the art.
So okay, so getting back on back to Last Action Hero. So you guys are familiar with this ass kickery of the '90s. Looking back on it, I think we look back on it more fondly than we did right after it was over. I think there was a time where it wasn't cool, and now revisiting it is kind of fun again. What do you take about that? Is that true? Yes, no.
Yeah, these movies are still fun. I have the Blu-ray of Commando on my shelf. I have a whole Arnold section on my Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of fun. After a while, it kind of wears itself thin.
And I think I know what you're gonna say about this, but what do we make about the Expendables? Which is ostensibly all these dudes back together.
I only saw the first one.
And I've never seen it.
I can only speak to the first one. I feel
also
like another big problem with a lot of modern action movies that I think makes the 80s, 90s movies superior. There's a lot of CGI in these movies. Like, they're not actually doing these big stunts. And to me, it takes away from it.
Well, that at this time it was. I mean, there's also special effects in something like Total Recall, right? A lot of miniatures and back.
But they were doing
projection and things,
fantastical things like the fat lady's mask head coming off, and
I mean,
creating a future world.
I do think that these movies represent like the height of just going for it with fake guns with blanks and real explosions and car chases.
It's a practical effects.
Yeah, they really went for a lot of practical effects here. I mean, but I'm saying like at this time it was like this was like they're trying to top each other. You know what I mean? And it was an interesting time in that way. So let's wrap up Last Action Hero here by saying, are you familiar with John McTiernan, and does that help or hurt this movie?
Absolutely familiar with John McTiernan.
And for people who don't have access to IMDb right now, what are some of the things that he's done?
Die Hard, Predator, The Hunt for Red October,
13th Warrior.
13th Warrior.
That movie.
Let's see, those are kind of the highlights. There's definitely another one.
He was going to do Die Hard 2, but I guess he wasn't available, and Rennie Harlan did it. And
well, I think because he was doing Hunt for Red October.
And what a movie Die Hard 2 turned out to be.
It was a lot like Die Hard 1, but worse.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
I feel like
my brother and I watch Die Hard every Christmas Eve.
And I don't want to be negative here, so I will say that Die Hard is unequivocally just such an enjoyable movie. It's baffling.
There's no question.
It's so good.
Yes.
Die Hard.
No question.
It's a good movie.
John McTiernan?
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. He was kind of the quintessential action director
Of the 90s. The 80s and 90s.
80s and 90s. He did Commando, right?
No, he did not.
Oh. I did Commando.
Talk amongst yourselves.
But yeah, I'm familiar with his movie. I mean, it does help. I mean, it does help this movie because you realize, it's like with him and Arnold, like they're just going back and basically making fun of themselves. They're making fun of the cliches and the things that they all did. That was what they did to sell movie tickets. These action movies.
Cliches that McTiernan even helped create.
Right. So he's deconstructing the genre as he creates them, so to speak.
So just as a side note, Commando was directed by Mark Lester, who also directed
He produced Showdown in Little Tokyo, which is a movie that we should never watch ever again.
What movie?
Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Oh, with Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah,
and
Brandon Lee.
And Brandon Lee. That movie was great.
You have the right to remain. You have the right to stay dead, or they have the right to remain dead. I don't know. Whatever line that was just too much.
That was the second best line in the movie. The first best line is, "After we take these guys down, we're gonna go get sushi and eat it off of naked chicks."
Well, I need to see this now.
Next podcast.
The next podcast. I'm gonna add it to the list. We're gonna do it. Well, Showdown in Little Tokyo. Let me add it right now. John McTiernan, really quick, I am not, I love those movies of John McTiernan. I am not really familiar with his name specifically. I'm not like, oh, John McTiernan, it's not an evocative name to me. But I do love a lot of these movies, so I don't know why it isn't. Shane Black, familiarity?
Yes, very much. So.
I mean, I didn't know about him until after the fact. I didn't realize he was in Predator, and I think I saw he directed fucking Iron Man 3.
He did direct Iron Man 3.
Rand wrote the script.
Yeah,
directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer.
Okay, yes, I'm not too terribly familiar with him, but I understand the name and the things associated with him.
And he wrote Lethal Weapon, which really a lot of people say started some of the action tropes.
Yes,
in the 80s.
And famously, the script for Lethal Weapon was filled with things like it's a house, it's a big house, it's as big as this movie's gonna be if I get it sold to blah 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 blah. A very self-referential writer in that way that impressed a lot of people back in the 80s. Again,
filled with cocaine.
Also, allegedly. Not saying Shane Black has done cocaine. Not saying that, Mr. Black.
Not saying he has not done it.
No, we are saying he hasn't not done it.
He was an adult in the 80s. He probably did cocaine.
Nope, that is not it. That is not what we're saying here.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Also, just like Shane Black, just like John McTiernan, huge fan of a lot of those movies. Iron Man 3, Predator, all these things. But it doesn't have that the name in the same way that Robert Rodriguez or Quentin Tarantino does with me, which is bizarre because I'm a fan of these movies, so I don't know. Yeah. As a nerd, I'm not sure why my nerddom does not cover him.
But the action movies, they essentially kind of are auteurs, these action directors. But the thing is, that's the vehicle driving it is the star. Like it was the late '80s, early '90s. That was the star vehicles that they were just.
And they had the power because they had the name.
The name, yeah. Everyone wants to see an Arnold or a Stallone or
Seagal.
Yeah, your average Joe Blow moviegoer didn't go to Die Hard. Well, not Die Hard's a bad example. Didn't go to Commando to see a Mark Lester film of Commando. They went for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right. So that's kind of what they're building it on. So, of course, they don't really ring a lot of bells. Not really that memorable names, but they've done great things.
All right. Last one. Are you familiar with Arnold Schwarzenegger? I think we all are. I think that's not. Don't answer that part of the question. But what is your take on Arnold Schwarzenegger? How do you feel about him as a politician? This is our new podcast, Speaking Politics.
Serious political jibber jabber.
Serious political jibber jabber.
Coming NPR.
Yeah, it's NPR. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, what do we think about him and his policies? So what do we think about him and what do we think about his movies? Do you like him? Do you think he's funny?
I do like Arnold Schwarzenegger a lot, and I recommend all of you to listen to his commentaries that he does on his films, because they're very funny. He's like a little kid watching the movie for the first time,
Despite the fact that he was in it and had a hand in creating it.
Exactly.
So then you're saying, and that played to great effect.
Exactly. And he's I think he was very aware of what he was doing and understood that these were fun movies. They weren't meant to be taken super seriously. Regardless of what some critics might say of like, oh, this is just a serious indictment of violence in America. It's like these were just fun movies,
Well, that's the thing I think with a lot of these '80s movies is that if it kind of reminds me of like the horror genre where it's not even like a horror genre but like a horror subgenre like a slasher movie. If you're into it, you really have this knowledge of like what you like and don't like, and if you're not into it, it all seems the same and it's all very lame.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I think earlier in my life, I was of that mindset of like these movies are stupid. Again, on the USA Network, call back. They played Sudden Death so many times. And I watched Sudden Death so many times. And if you're not familiar with Sudden Death, Jean-Claude Van Damme plays a hockey arena security guard and must defend America and this arena once it is taken, this game is invaded by terrorists.
Wow.
And suffice to say, there's lots of kicks to the face. Matt, Arnie Swartz, what do you think?
It's the name is kind of synonymous now, especially now. It's just with kind of a fun, feel good time at the movies. You see him kind of do all sorts of things with being funny, with like Kindergarten Cop and Twins. You see him be your atypical action, muscle guy and Predator and everything else. And and he also like knows how to like not take things too seriously and to like have fun with things. And I think he actually is a good actor, especially when he plays Cyborg.
So you would say he's a good actor?
I would say he's a good actor. I mean, he's been in questionable things, like.
What? End of Days is a masterpiece.
I was just gonna say
I was gonna say Batman and Robin, clearly the masterpiece.
But in Batman and Robin, that is a choice. You know what I mean? That's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah. It's just that whole vibe of that movie is just off the rails.
I would say probably the best part of that movie is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I would think that's not arguable. I think that's true.
He's better than any bat credit card.
Yep,
that's ever been presented.
With nibbles on the bat.
Bat nips.
That was glorious time to be alive.
I think with Arnold, I mean, I do like him as I do like him as the strong and silent type. Conan, Predator, Terminator 2, obviously. I don't really like the later part of the filmography, aka Terminator 3. Didn't like that, but I mean, you can't say that movie's not good because of him. That's just not a good movie. End of Days, the same thing.
Yep.
I think he's obviously very limited actor, but can be used to great effect. You know what I mean? It's like everyone has their limitations. We just know his. He's not really,
I think
the best at emoting. You know what I mean? But he is a playful dude, and that does come across in the research I've done on this movie. You do see that come across, in the clips from the movie. He's clearly a playful guy. He's not like, which is actually surprising that he's able to play like mean-spirited badass like the Dutch and Predator, which I think is my favorite role of his because, god damn, is that movie fun.
It is fun.
Shane Black. So I would say overall we would say that these three dudes going into this movie raises our excitement. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Shane Black, John McTiernan, right? It makes it fun. You guys like this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Let's wrap this up with some rapid fire and then get right into it. Rapid fire this episode, is just going to be names of action stars, and you're going to give me a yes or a no. No, maybe. No, nothing else. Yes, glory. No, death. Not literal death, but you know what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
All right, so we're starting off with Papa Stallone, Sylvester Stallone.
No.
No.
I'm going to say yes.
Alright.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Huge yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Although when he was governor, underfunded the libraries. We need our libraries, Arnold.
Yes.
We're not talking about Arnold the politician.
This is for serious political jibber jabber.
Yeah, save it for the podcast.
Save it for the podcast. Bruce Willis.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Steven Seagal.
No.
Fuck no.
Fuck no. Keanu Reeves.
Yes. As an action star.
By the way, this is strictly as an action star. We're not interested in anything else.
Okay, then yes.
Yes.
Good.
Wesley Snipes.
No.
No.
Although he has
Hell no.
although he has one of the great lines ever in Passenger 57. Always bet on black.
You just can't write stuff like that anymore.
Other than that, just a huge no.
Yep. Hulk Hogan.
No.
No.
Fuck that. Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. JVCD, aka John Claude Van Damme.
No.
No.
No. Street Fighter. Come on.
USA! Come out from behind the curtain, wizard.
Jackie Chan.
Yes.
Yes.
Huge yes.
Yeah, huge yes. Emphatic yes. Chow Yun Fat.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Kurt Russell.
Yes. Big time.
No.
I'm gonna say big time yes as well. Chow Yun Fat.
You just said that one.
No, did I say that? I thought I said Jackie Chan.
You said both.
Did I say both?
You said
Racist.
both, all right?
Listen, I'm undiagnosed. I have some cognitive issues. All right, we're gonna cut this all out. We're not gonna cut any of this out. Did I say Kurt Russell? I just
Yes.
said Kurt Russell.
Yes,
Mel Gibson.
No.
Yes.
I'm gonna say no. Harrison Ford.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, yes.
Jet Li.
No.
No.
I'm gonna say soft no.
Too inconsistent of a mark.
I agree with you, and it's a soft no. It's just like
He as a performer is good. His movies are not very good.
All right.
Forgot Chuck Norris.
Did I forget Chuck Norris? That's why I skipped. Okay, that's why when I did Jackie Chan twice or Chow Yun Fat twice. It's because I switched to
Chuck
Can't forget.
Norris.
Chuck Norris. Finish with Chuck Norris.
No.
No.
Fuck no.
Fuck no.
The worst.
He didn't, even,
This Chuck.
he didn't even fight the bear in that one Walker Texas Ranger episode.
Well,
I'm very mad at that.
that's not why I'm saying no.
I'm still
but,
mad.
Is anyone I forgot
Ugh.
that comes to mind?
I mean, there's a lot of people who are kind of being like action. I mean, but you're talking mostly about people from the 80s and 90s, not like today.
Not today, not like the 70s. Because it's not like the 70s where it'd be Bruce Lee or anything like that. It's just the 80s and 90s or late 80s, early
Also, like
90s.
action star in the 70s, like who is it? Like Burt Reynolds and
Yeah,
Clint
Burt
Eastwood, and then
yeah,
Charles
well,
Bronson.
Charles Bronson.
You have three. Maybe Steve McQueen on a good day.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole separate thing. But then also Bruce Lee
But it's kind of funny. It's like that's what we thought are action stars in those days, or Charlton Heston.
and Charles what's his face
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood.
That's right.
A lot of them.
But then the 80s and 90s, just like you get a whole like range of.
Well,
just
it's
people.
what we're saying, right? It's like it's this huge slog of named dudes, right? And
Right.
and nowadays
The-
it's
the
like
draws.
it's like my homeboy The Rock. Shout out The Rock, Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, R.I.P. You know, there's
Is he an action star, or he's just like a person who's in an action movie?
who.
Paul Walker.
I think he was. People loved him. He was.
Yeah,
in,
but he seems
Yeah,
more
but,
like,
but you're forgetting he's like in all those like that SWAT movie and all these fucking
okay.
things. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
Is he in SWAT? I don't know.
I don't think
He could be.
He was certainly in Meet the Deedles,
Alright.
though.
Wait, we're looking this up. Paul Walker.
Stand by for IMDb break.
Ah, shit. We're gonna cut all of this out.
Let's see, who else? From the 80s.
Yeah, is there anyone else I missed?
Tony Leung, but he was kind of more of a supporting.
Oh,
guy.
from Hard Boiled.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
was more-
He didn't make it an American like splash.
The thing is, like Paul Walker was in a bunch of action movies, but they were all Fast and the Furious and Varsity Blues. But they were all Fast and the Furious. But those movies are so big that I feel like that counts. You know what I mean?
It just
that
seems like-
franchise, like everyone in that like is Ludacris an action star? Like I don't know. He's been in 5 Fast and the Furious movies. You know what I mean?
But he could just be like a person in an action movie, not necessarily an action star.
But he's a main part of that movie. And we're not talking about this is a separate podcast. We're gonna do
The very
every
distasteful
single one of the
Paul
Fast. No, we're gonna do all the Fast and the Furious movies. We're gonna do all of them. All right. So to wrap this up, because as we start to meander here, what is the best '80s? Who's your favorite '80s '90s action star?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger. All right.
Oh, shit.
You got this list right here. You can take a
I
look.
know. I would say I say Harrison Ford is probably my favorite.
Harrison Ford.
You know what? I'm gonna amend my answer a little bit.
This is highly unorthodox.
Slightly ahead of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan.
I am also gonna say Jackie Chan
Excellent.
because those movies were next level bonkers.
He was the perfect
wall.
mix of Bruce Lee's skill and like Buster Keaton.
Yeah, I would say it's like very Buster Keaton in
It's like in a
style
way
and
that
composition.
nobody's really
Right.
done or ever did.
In a way that and taking risks that any union would immediately shut down in America.
Exactly.
And rightfully so. All right.
it was
and,
crazy.
And in a time full of one-liners, and don't take mine. What's your favorite one-liner? If you could think of one.
Ooh.
We can take a little pause here, and you could look it up or something if you need to.
I gotta pause and think about that one.
Babe, that's one-liner. Ah, shit. Okay, yeah, we might need to pause this one.
All right. Okay, we're back. We've consulted with Google. Cool. Anyone, does anyone want to go first?
I
Or?
was gonna be introduced. So I was
okay.
waiting for the introduction. So I'll go mine. This is one I use on a daily basis. If anybody is mad or just needs a pick-me-up, like if somebody in the office is mad, I go, let off some steam, Bennett. So that's my favorite 80s one.
And that is from
Commando.
right when and spoilers for Commando when Arnold Schwarzenegger throws a steam pipe through a man. It goes into him into another steam pipe, and then steam comes out
of
of
the
him.
steam pipe that is now
has
impaled Bennett, the main bad guy.
It has bisected his entire midsection, and presumably the steam is shooting through his body, cooking him alive. In a little bit.
Ergo, let off some steam, Bennett.
Love it.
Mine is, excuse me, to clear my throat here. See you at the party, Richter, from Total Recall, when Michael Ironside is hanging from a elevator platform and his arms get cut off when the platform, reaches the top and it cuts up,
And it smooshes his arm.
pushes his arms off, and then he proceeds to throw them off the platform.
Arnold Schwarzenegger picks up the severed arms, throws them off the platform,
Yes.
and he says,
See you at the party, Richter.
beautiful.
Second choice was Get Your Ass to Mars, kind of obvious go-to, but we're not doing.
I think you went with I think you made a better
There's
choice.
just, I mean, the thing about Arnold movies, they're so chock full of one-liners that you can't.
The
really...
Commando script is basically non-stop one-liner.
And if I'm allowed to have my my second choice was Stick Around from Predator, which is probably the first one-liner I ever heard.
I think Meat Grinder is a pretty good one, but that's not really.
It's not a one-liner. That's just good dialogue.
Yeah, it's beautifully written. Beautifully written.
For the people, let's just quote it.
Or if it bleeds, you can kill it.
Well, if you bleed, you can
I ain't
kill
got
it.
time to bleed. A lot of bleeding.
I ain't got.
metaphors.
Hold on. There's Ivani Ventura when he gets grazed with a bullet says, "I ain't got time to bleed." When Arnold Schwarzenegger throws a knife in a guy and the knife sticks into him and sticks in the wall, he says, "Stick around." And then what's the Meat Grinder one?
No, that was just you cooked up the story and tossed the six of us in a meat grinder.
Right, but he says Meat Grinder.
Grinder.
But I mean, it's really more or less.
And all
you can't have one.
Listen,
There's
everything,
100 of them.
everything said here is all very great, and I think when people resent one-liners is when they resent the bad ones, because the good ones are actually really funny. Mine is Yippee Ki Yay, motherfucker, and I don't think I need to explain that.
Damn classic.
And I don't think I need to explain that. Interestingly enough, our favorite star, Jackie Chan, doesn't have a lot of one-liners that come to mind instantly. But I mean, there's some funny stuff, right? In
Legend of Drunken Master, when his female companion says, "What does the skull on the bottle mean?" and Jackie Chan, dubbing his own English dub, goes, "Good stuff." It always makes me laugh.
I don't know if that's a one-liner, but that fucking movie was great.
It's a great movie.
Who's your favorite action star?
It was It was Harrison Ford.
Oh, Harrison Ford. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's it.
Get off my plane.
Yeah, I don't know if that movie fits into this genre, but you know what? I'm gonna executive decision let it because that movie is great.
Yep.
Air Force One.
But the movie Executive Decision was terrible.
Which one was that? Excuse me.
Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal, right?
No, wait, that movie fucking rocks.
What? No.
What are you talking about? Spoilers for fucking Executive Decision. Steven Seagal gets killed at the first act break when they invade the plane. They fly a plane underneath. They crawl through a tube. Steven Seagal, something goes wrong. Steven Seagal has to save them, sacrifices himself, and is blown away, and presumably chooses to fall to his own death. And you're like, what the fuck? And then John Leguizamo and that guy from Law & Order SVU, the guy who's like the child psychologist, and Kurt Russell.
Ice-T?
No, not Ice-T. Not, you know it's not. They all gotta team up and, save the president or whatever. I don't know.
Another USA classic, that and Broken Arrow.
Oh, Broken Arrow.
That was a sad time when John Woo just made colossal piles of
Are
garbage.
you telling me Face Off is a colossal pile of garbage?
No, it's the worst.
It has its charms.
I want to revisit that, but
Another time, another place.
Another time, another place. So wait, yeah, we'll add that to the podcast list too.
The John Woo failed 90s movies.
So hold on, there's two movies we had to add to our list this time. We got to add Face Off and what was the other
Broken
one?
Arrow.
No, wasn't there one earlier in the podcast? Well, I'll go back and listen to this again.
I don't know. It's revisit.
But that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about.
Last Action Hero.
So let's get to that.
All right, here we go. Oh, yeah.
And we're back. Last Action Hero, guys. Holy shit.
Yeah.
What a movie.
So let's start with the beginning. Where and when did you see it?
Oh,
Start with Matt.
watched it on the Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
I own this movie.
Personal collection.
Personal collection. I own this movie. I am proud to own this movie.
Okay.
I watched it on Netflix streaming. It is, as of this recording, still available on Netflix streaming.
I also watched it on Netflix streaming last night, pretty late. So I don't know if that influences. I was very tired, and I watched it late at night. I don't know if that affects my opinion or not.
It was in widescreen, right?
It wasn't widescreen.
Okay.
It was letterbox, in fact, because it was my TV is not wide enough.
It's 235.
Yeah.
On the Netflix.
But
there was bars on mine. Yeah.
But there wasn't bars on the sides.
No.
Okay.
That's not pillar
Okay,
box.
because I had the.
These are
DVD
technical terms, everyone.
I had the
Pillar box.
I had the DVD that they released.
Yeah, it was letter and pillar.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pan scan. No, it wasn't. No, it was 4x3 pan scan.
Oh, gross.
You want to talk about the worst way to watch that movie? Like, it was weird because I watched it for the first time on Blu-ray the other night, and I was amazed how much better it looks when it's not pan and scan. 'Cause it makes a big difference. I was like,
It
what?
does.
Like, that's how that shot looked. Like, it was actually like composed in full, and not just some weird
Not just
pan
some
scan.
weird
Ugh.
cut. Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm gonna watch it, yeah,
Alright.
don't watch it pan scan.
Can anyone, now that we've seen it, can anyone summarize what happens in this movie?
Of course. So
A little bit easier than Akira? Go ahead.
little kid who loves watching movies, loves action star Arnold Schwarzenegger, gets invited to see a test print at a movie house in New York of Jack.
AKA Broadway in downtown LA.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well,
yeah. And he gets to see the Jack Slater fourth installment of
A fictional Arnold Schwarzenegger franchise.
right. And so, but in order to get in, he needs a ticket. So the theater owner gives him a magic ticket that once belonged to Houdini and it was magic. So he's in the movie watching the movie.
And the ticket gets him. The ticket gets him into the movie.
I'm explaining this movie.
Go ahead.
Ticket gets him in the movie, yes. And now he's a part of the movie. And first half of the movie is him trying to make everyone know that this is a movie and no one believes him. And there's a whole plot around trying to find out who killed Jack Slater's favorite second cousin. And eventually the villain, played by Charles Dance of Alien 3 fame,
Killing it.
killing it, busy year for him, and he finds a portal back into the real world, and then the latter half of the movie is just a chase picture trying to find Charles Dance in New York.
Kevin, would you agree with that?
Yep, that is a sound synopsis.
I agree with that as well. So let's get into this fucking thing.
This beast of a movie.
I had never seen. I don't know if I'm gonna break with tradition. I want to go first,
All right.
if that's okay.
Yeah, do you think?
I've never seen this movie. I've stated this before, and now after seeing it, I remember I not only had the Jack Slater toy, I also had the weird guy with the rain slicker toy too.
Oh, the slasher.
Tom Noonan.
Yeah, I had that toy
The
too.
great Tom Noonan.
I had that toy too for some reason. I always remember as a kid being like, "Why is he wearing like a metal vest, like the chainmail and a slicker?" It's very weird. I found myself really fucking enjoying this movie.
Right?
It is.
I was like, this is funny. This is good.
It's a rollicking good time.
This doesn't last forever. Let me just say this. Let me say that. Teaser for later. But especially the first part of this movie. Also, I'm going to say that in spite of this fucking kid who I hated. Hated that kid. So much. That kid, we're getting to this in a minute, but that kid is
he's the
everything that was wrong with the 90s. But let's just talk about just Arnold and just a general, like seeing the kid in the movie and making the references. Like, this shit was fun, and I found myself laughing out loud a lot. Mm-hmm. I found when we first see Arnold, he gets out of his car, a classic car, and then he you see his boots, snakeskin boots, his jeans, his red tucked in shirt, his fucking leather jacket, and then you see him and he has a big fucking cigar in his mouth, and I don't know why I laughed so hard when I saw that. I was just like, yeah!
His belt buckle with a gun on it.
Yeah.
You're talking about the opening scene.
Opening scene when they're, also I think it was a Fox lot too.
The exterior of the police station was with Nakatomi Plaza, right?
Oh, was it?
No, the police station is Sony Studios. Office in Culver
okay.
City.
Is it?
Yes.
They never showed the outside of the building.
Trust me,
Okay.
it's the lobby
Fair
of
enough.
Sony Pictures.
We'll believe that. Because it's probably true. As far as I know, it's definitely true. So I found myself really overall, just general thoughts. I really like this movie. I think it absolutely falls apart when they get back to the real world, and it
third act
it becomes just a stinker. But again, this is another in a history of trouble productions that we've done on this show.
Yes,
this is another trouble production that everyone talks all this shit about. But the movie feels very cohesive. There's lots of care taken into these shots. There's a lot of cool shots where the camera will be blocked off, and then someone will come in and it'll pan around the whole room, and then they'll walk away. You know what I mean? Really good framing, funny lines, silliness. The action was really good. In that typical early '90s kind of big budget action movies. Lots of good gags. Yeah. A lot of bizarre shit that we're gonna get into in a minute. But overall, I mean, if we're on the average, I'd say this is a pretty great fucking movie.
I think this movie is very ahead of its time. Actually.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
And I think that's why it failed.
People weren't ready for it.
Right.
Nobody knew. There weren't enough action tropes that anybody you would make a parody of this.
Right. You're still in the height of action.
Is this a comedy?
Movies.
Is this an action movie? What is this? All the bad reviews on Rotten Tomatoes that I read were basically this is just some weird comedy is trying to have action.
Well,
I don't get it.
There's an interesting parallel. It's superhero movies are out now. And it'd be if someone made a movie about how stupid superhero movies were that wasn't Birdman.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a superhero movie. And if you think Kick-Ass is not that, Kick-Ass is just a superhero movie. You know what I mean?
A hyper-violent superhero.
A hyper-violent, self-aware superhero movie where superhero comic books exist in that movie. But this is as if that's stupid. You know what I mean? It's definitely making fun of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm gonna say I'm gonna be talking you guys' ears off.
I love this movie, and yeah, the third act falls apart. I did like the scene at the end where they're at the screening, and there's the thing where Arnold Schwarzenegger is playing himself, and he's plugging the Planet Hollywood restaurant, and Ray Shriver's don't plug the restaurant. That shit is so funny because he's I'm gonna make fun of myself. I know who I am and what I do, and the whole movie is it's self parody, it's satire, it's at its best level, but obviously at the end it doesn't it doesn't work out, and then it gets kind of hokey and stupid. But yeah, I think that when I first watched it, when I was a kid, I didn't make too much of it.
Yeah, so you guys watched it as children, right? I mean, how the fuck what is this to you as a kid?
Exactly.
It's baffling.
It's just you just view it as maybe a fun action movie. When you watch it older, you're like, okay, now I understand. I think it's because now we've grown up and we've had time to digest all the shitty action tropes.
One-liners were cool. It's like nostalgia, right? Like one-liners were cool, and then they were super fucking lame, and now they're funny again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, the campiness
And
is coming back.
and there is some fucking bizarro. I mean, like, listen, the ones in Batman and Robin, like, those are like the worst one-liners of all time. Arnold Schwarzenegger again, you know, like, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. It's like, that doesn't work for some reason. But like in this, he's like, the first line he has is, are you a farmer? Here's some acres.
Oh, do you want to be a farmer? Here's a couple of acres.
And he kicks him in the balls and he flies across the room. And for some reason, I found myself like, inside and probably on the outside being like, yeah!
I prefer, I have to go catch the red eye.
Oh my
I died. It made me laugh so hard. One note I made while watching it, this is my third time seeing this movie while I watched it again, is John McTiernan, the director of this movie, the only director who ever parodied a style that he himself created.
Yeah, I mean, because he takes on, because he did like Predator and he did Hunt for the Red October,
Die Hard.
I don't know if he did. I think he did like some other shit.
But they reference fucking Die Hard in this movie.
Oh yeah,
right?
they reference everything. Oh my god, my favorite running gag is the Amadeus gag.
Yep.
Huh?
We're gonna drop some knowledge on you, Smokey. So his partner, the guy named Practice,
Yeah.
is played by F. Murray Abraham, who played Salieri in Amadeus, and they make a lot of jokes about, he thinks he said that he killed a guy named Mozart.
Yeah, and he's like, because the kid's playing off of what he knows, which is movies, so he's like, don't trust him. He killed Mozart, and he's like, I don't know about that. He saved my life in Nam, I can trust him.
Yeah.
And then they keep on going back to that, and then and later Arnold's in the real world, he's like, what am I listening to? And the mom's like, are you listening to Mozart? And he's like, is that the guy who killed...
Hold for Hammer.
Fuck the hammer. We're gonna go. I can't. I'm too excited about this movie to wait for anything. Goddamn you.
Stop that hammering. But yeah, they make constant references to this one movie, which is, I think, it's such a great
Bizarre
running joke that really has no place in an action movie because you're referencing like a historical drama.
That this kid has seen. And
This kid loves
knows
movies.
the actors in it.
Yeah, it's just like that was a little side.
Interesting. That also, by the way, the sound you're hearing right now is the fucking wind going past my head. I did not pick up on that at all.
It's all right. Talk about the Hamlet interlude.
Yes.
Well, I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Does it have
Oh no! Yes. Oh no! Okay, yeah. The Arnold Schwarzenegger is Hamlet.
Yeah.
Okay. That when I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute. This movie knows exactly what it's fucking wanting to be. It wants to be super fucking goofy. It's definitely self-aware. It like the idea this movie is just like, hey, whatever, dude. Fuck that.
It's so obviously a comedy. How did these early '90s audiences not pick up on?
Well,
that?
it just wasn't. It's just ahead of its time, right? Like the idea.
It's so over the top,
and it's almost more relevant now, where people want to adapt things now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, at the time, like, people were making Robin Hood with Kevin Costner, and that was cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's insulting to say this, you know what I mean? But from our perspective in the future, relative to when this came out, it's like, that's funny, But yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, like, it knew exactly where it was going, and I think, and at the end, I think they had to pull it back to, I think if there was...
Is there a director's cut of this?
No.
But by the way, the best part about that Hamlet thing is that they don't do anything like that ever again. Yeah. Like, there's no fake trailer for anything ever. Like, you know what I mean? They could have beaten that dead horse to death, but they do it once, and it's like, all right, moving on. It's like you could have done that, like with more escalating, more craziness, more, but they just do it once. It's like a one-time gag, and I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't think. Just going back to the point I made, John McTiernan. Alfred Hitchcock never made a parody suspense movie. Mel Brooks made a parody suspense movie based on Alfred Hitchcock. The Airplane guys parodied, the Zucker Brothers. Well, they're not brothers. Anyways,
These are all parodies of someone else's shit.
Exactly. Yeah. I just feel like McTiernan parodies so many things that he himself made, and like I find that really cool.
The villain is a ripoff of Hans Gruber.
It is,
but a loving referential ripoff. Yeah.
And
his own fucking villain,
who Alan Rickman was supposed to play, but wanted too much money.
Wow, so that would have been.
Yeah.
The dude they got. What's the dude they got?
Charles Dance.
He did great. And also that dude shines in this movie, and especially during the like he's the one intelligent character in the whole in the movie world. You know what I mean? Like he's listening to the kid, and the 360 line is so great. You did a 360 on me. If I did a 360, I would start exactly where I.
Yep. Right.
It's so good. And then when they move to the real world, and the movie really takes a fucking nosedive, he's like. So good, where he's like, I've shot a man and I've done it on purpose. I've murdered someone right down there. Yeah, that was good. Like so good. Like he shined in this movie. Like if you hated this movie, if you hated it, you'd have to at least give it up for that dude, right?
You'd have to.
I mean,
I'm so excited about this movie.
He's very. It's like he's an active part of the movie. He's not just like I'm a villain and I'm gonna. Just be like a dumb villain. Like he's actually intuitive and smart, and he's selling it that he's not just a run-of-the-mill villain, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I like that when he's aware he's in like a different world. He's not like, what is this crazy place? And kind of he's smart enough to like figure out like these are kind of the rules.
It's just like his world, but it's almost worse than his world because he sees people get shot on the street and no cops come.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So they go to Broadway. Whatever, L.A.
New
York, which a lot of the premiere was in New York. I believe that was filmed in New York. But I mean, some of the shit is like you look at the signage, it says Broadway this and that.
Yeah.
And Broadway is for people who don't know, is a street in downtown L.A. that's kind of like known for being a little bit sketchy. I lived there. The part I lived at was actually nice, but yeah, relatively. There's a lot of shady, homeless. And
gentrification has not made its way to Broadway.
It has, but it hasn't. Because when I was there, it was nothing, and then I got gentrified right out of that fucker. I gentrified myself out.
Save it for the gentrification podcast.
Yeah, talking serious gentrification.
Jabber. Jibber Jabber.
But okay, so there's interesting parallels here. Also, I also want to say this movie is so fucking weird. It's at its weirdest when. They're at the.
It's hammering. This is getting intense.
It doesn't matter. We're gonna keep going. It's at its weirdest when. You guys here? I'm about to talk about weird bondagey shit. So let's focus up.
All right.
It's at its fucking weirdest when they're at the police station and there's all these people in like latex outfits and they're all women. And then they go to the Blockbuster and there's women in different, more colorful latex outfits. And it's like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And then it's like, why this specific fetish? Like, and not everyone is like this. It's only select people. And then I think there's a weird. I found that to be very odd.
And don't forget about the cartoon cat named Whiskers, voiced by Danny DeVito.
Oh yeah, who like tries to like feel up a girl's like butthole like her pants, weird. Which was like. Whoa! Times have changed.
Also, I did like that.
And for the better?
No, that was a great sequence when they match everyone up because it's
yeah.
Because
my favorite was Humphrey Bogart's.
Yeah, the digitalization of Humphrey Bogart
with the new kid or whatever.
And then, but I mean but that's a weird thing because at that time they were still making
those movies, 48 hours and all
like mismatched cop movies. So it was just such weird timing to make those jokes. I mean, because everyone knew about them because they're like. All right, well, we have, Jim Belushi,
yeah. Who starred in a buddy cop movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And also another one with a dog.
With a dog.
So did Chuck Norris with a dog. Cop and a Half with Burt Reynolds and some little kid. I mean, there was, like...
Yeah, I mean,
so many of them.
Cop and a Half is like this movie. Like, they were definitely...
Making fun of that.
Yeah, that premise. And then, so there's that, right? So there's lots of beautiful women in sex outfits... in inappropriate places in the movie world, which is not, that's not a super stretch. You know what I mean? It's like, is it a fetish gear? People just wear like whatever the fashion is now. But then you go to real world New York, and you see people on the street, and there's that streetwalker, and she's all fucked up.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, you want a party?" And he's like, "I beg your pardon." And she's like, "Well, whatever." And she walks away.
That's how old she was.
Yeah.
No, he asked how old she was, and she's like, "Oh, fucking." And it's like that's so upsetting, and it's such a juxtaposition about how women are portrayed in the other world. But I feel like they never pay off in the real world. The movie doesn't know how to end. It doesn't know what its message is ultimately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. There's definitely a statement in Hollywood, which is that Hollywood is ridiculous, and we're kind of making fun with it. I wouldn't say even making fun of it, but making fun with it. And then when they get to the real world, there's like nothing to say. It's like the real world is shitty and awful. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they were having too much fun for the first 2 acts, and they're like, "Oh wait, we gotta wrap this up somehow."
Right, and they come back, and I mean, you also see shades of this in the beginning when that opening scene is like. The kid gets assaulted in his own apartment by someone who is walking around in his own apartment, and he gets held up at knife point, and then handcuffed against his will to a thing, and then like that is like really upsetting. But the movie has there's no thesis at the end of this movie. There's no point.
I mean, I think
Right?
Or
Or do you guys disagree?
it's just the kid goes. Maybe that's why the kid goes to the movies. Is his real world sucks.
yeah, the escapism. I think that might be the theme where.
But do you feel like the movie is actually making a statement on that, or
I think it's in some sort of way. I think it is saying that for some people, this escapism is all they have because life is so shitty. He's like living in a shitty apartment with his mom and no dad.
who works like she puts on like that outfit, which is not a very seductive outfit, but then she like goes to work at like 10 o'clock at night. So
Yeah.
and there's like an implication that she maybe works at like a late night place. Like I don't even know.
Or if she's like a prostitute herself, I don't know.
I don't know, that wasn't very very sex workery outfit.
But I mean, that's stretch. Obviously.
Unless you like them formal, gents. Or
People like it.
maybe lady.
Or maybe she's whatever job she's doing, it's not.
She's a lady hooker.
She's a lady hooker. I mean, whatever job she's doing, it's not a status quo, reputable kind of job. Maybe she's waiting tables.
Maybe she's waiting tables.
Maybe she's doing something. Maybe she works at. She should do whatever the fuck she's doing. Who knows? But I think that on some level, they're saying that this kid only has the movies to escape to, and that's why he clings on to Arnold Schwarzenegger as a parental figure. But
Just come on, that's funny.
I mean, it is funny.
My dad's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And and that's. But I think if there's any theme, I think that's what it is. And how when they're like, where Danny is like, this world sucks and I hate it. And Arnold's like, it's not so bad. You have to make the best of it or whatever. Which is really weird.
I just feel like that was just like that. There's nothing building up to that except for that. You know what I mean? Like, we never really. That's not what the first 2/3 of this movie is about at all. You know what I mean? The first 2/3 of the movie is a delicious romp making fun of movies. You know what I mean? Like, this man's alive, and you know what I mean? Like, that's goofy, and I love that, and I totally love that, Leo the Fart. But it's just like
That was too good. Pulls his finger to activate.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's just sending up Hollywood movies, and then we get back to the real world, and it's like you gotta try. The world's hard, or something. I don't know.
Is that before or after death comes out of the screen? And
We're gonna get to that, and that was awesome.
That was confusing.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Like-
My other big complaint with this movie is not a nitpick. It's like a legitimate. The sleepy projectionist. Don't like that. And two, a fucking movie ticket from Harry Houdini. What are we even talking about? Like, shouldn't it have been like passed down from like Edison or someone who actually has something to do with movies?
Well, that's kind of what I noted is. I think the theater should have been, instead of like this kind of whimsical old man with his magic ticket, it should have been like an Otto from The Simpsons kind of type dude who runs this theater. Like somebody
Elaborate.
kind of matched the tone of like, who's this whimsical, almost Charlie and the Chocolate Factory type guy promoting this super violent action movie. Like, it should be some kind of metalhead dude who's like, yeah, fucking, we got Jack Slater 4 if you want to come watch it.
Well,
it's the whimsical tone and then the tone of the Jack Slater movie don't really mesh.
Right.
I don't think.
And it's also like, it's like a Palace Theater. Also, it's like one of either the $1 Million Theater or the Regent or something downtown. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. Or the Orpheum or something. And it's all run down and spray painted and shitty and whatever.
I got something to say about that.
Which, We'll get to you
Okay.
now.
I mean, it was interesting because it could be seen as, because it was all just torn to shit, and it's like it could be a statement like this is the death of the movie palace, because multiplexes are what have taken over, and like this is gonna make a statement of this is no one wants just the one screen theater that you just see one movie or maybe a double bill, but I think it's saying that this type of movie going experience is dead, and now it is now the big budget action multiplex mentality that we're in.
And I would agree with you, but except for the fact that he's watching this multiplex kind of movie there, right? Jack Slater 3.
4.
Well, you watched 3.
He watched
this
3.
This is 4.
Yeah.
And then later they're playing what's the movie with the Seventh Seal?
Seventh Seal.
They're playing a Seventh Seal, and that movie theater seems very packed relative to its size and everything. So it's like, I don't think they're making a statement on that at all. This is just a shitty rundown theater for no reason. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's no cohesive statement being made there.
Probably not.
And one other thing I want to note on this: the rules of the ticket aren't really well defined.
Because you have the ticket.
You have the ticket,
and then something happens.
But then, Charles Dance has the ticket, Benedict, and he can, go through a certain wall with the ticket, but it doesn't really specify, what medium can you use to get in between the worlds. I just thought it was... And then it lands just outside of that one theater, and death comes out of the screen from Seventh Seal, and it's... The rules of how the ticket works are oddly defined.
I also feel like the Seventh Seal reference is a reference that most people wouldn't get. It's a very obscure movie. It's an important movie in terms of film history, but I feel like if you're going to go see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, you're probably not a big Seventh Seal fan.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Also, Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen is
killing it.
So.
As death.
Yeah, and in the rules of it, it's like if you tear the ticket, now you can go into movies. But again, I know that Houdini did magic. I get it. But it's just like, he didn't do movie magic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He did, escape shit. Yeah. So, and that would make...
He was also very much against supernatural magic. He was all about debunking people who claimed to be supernatural.
Right. So it's a weird... It's a weird thing of, why are these things connected? Other than the fact that Houdini is a magician, but what you said, if you're familiar with Houdini at all, it wouldn't be the kind of thing. Why is it movies? And if he's an escape artist, maybe that makes sense if Jack could come out of the movie only.
Yeah.
Not people could go in, or it's a one-way thing because escape is a one-way thing. I don't know, dude. It's just, I feel like
it's a tunnel sequence in Alien 3 all over again.
There's a beginning to this movie that sucks, and an end of this movie that sucks, and a delicious middle. It's like an Oreo cookie. You know what I mean? You got two fucking gross things, but the delicious part, right there in that middle.
Sweet spot.
It's double stuff, homie. It's double stuff.
Yep.
So I have a question to ask you.
Ask it.
Do you think Stallone would have made it a better Terminator?
No. Now, let me ask you a question. Would this movie have been better with Nicolas Cage? As the kid.
Maybe.
He's Salieri, yeah.
I'm from the real world. You guys are in a movie. I don't know which Nicolas Cage that was, but I'm the Ghost Rider. There it is.
I could eat a peach for hours.
Nicolas Cage, we love you. Never change.
Never change.
Maybe it'd be better with money, but really never change.
Oh boy. I mean, it probably could be. Yeah. I mean, that kid was just they needed.
Let's talk about this fucking kid.
I don't want
Fuck this kid. He was so annoying. His comments that, when you watch the movie, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get." So annoying. His shitty '90s haircut fucking pissed me off.
Just mugging all the time.
Mugging all the time. Kids in the '90s were lame. They were stupid. And we were kids in the 90s. We were lame. Kids now are cooler than kids in the 90s. You know what I mean?
I don't want to talk about this kid anymore.
He was just...
We dressed and talked like assholes, just like that kid.
Yeah, fuck Bugle Boy. Fuck you. Fuck that kid. I didn't like him at all. Again, I'll tell you I love this movie. I don't like one of the main characters. I don't like the beginning. And I don't like the end. But goddamn it, do I like that middle.
Oh my god!
Is there anything else we want to talk about?
So much to talk about. Just how insanely funny it is. I mean, I think we talked about that a lot too. But
I liked the one joke I really liked is when they're driving on the freeway and he's talking and all the cars are crashing behind him.
Yes.
Kind of commenting how people in movies don't pay attention when they drive.
Right, he goes up the wrong road.
Yeah, he goes up
just
the wrong
like,
road, and there's
and
just everybody's just crashing by
The
him,
police
going
chief,
around him.
like, good God. Was
Yeah,
that
just screaming.
and just like a lot of just great back and forth and like just a lot of like silly puns and
Great cameos.
great cameos.
But I have a note here.
Robert Patrick and Sharon Stone.
Who has more random cameo, Tina Turner or Little Richard?
More random cameo, Tina Turner.
Tina
Tina Turner.
Chevy Chase, I'd say a pretty random cameo.
Yeah.
Where was he in this?
He's at the premiere.
Him and Damon Wayans were in the premiere. They get knocked over by Jack Slater. And they're like, what? They don't, that's it. That's all you get of it, which is, I think it's kind of like a fun way to do cameo. Because I know a lot of times cameos like, you know, you'll wink at the audience. But this whole movie is just essentially just winking at the audience.
I
But
think-
those cameos were just so like, they just threw him in there for like a second. You're like, what?
I think the Tina Turner one is the craziest one because there's
pretty
not
good.
even an acknowledgement of it.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
because it's part of that movie world.
right. But even yeah, exactly. But because when you see Robert Patrick and Sharon Stone, the kid recognizes them.
Right.
So there's at least that little thing of like, oh my God, this is like, if you didn't know that was Tina Turner, you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Little Richard, they're interviewing him, so you know that he's a celebrity.
Well, and he did in Predator. They listened to Long Tall Sally, which this movie was also written by Shane Black partially. So
Right.
there's that connection. But
Also, Chris Connolly from MTV News.
Where was he?
He was the one
he's at the
interviewing
premiere.
people.
He interviews when the real Tom Noonan comes up.
Oh.
Is that when he's there? And,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, oh, and here's Tom Noonan, but like they thought they already interviewed him in costume, so yeah,
Yeah.
for MTV.
Also, I didn't like that. Again, I didn't like that villain. There's so much I don't like about this movie, but there's so much I fucking love about this movie.
You kind of have to you gotta take the good with the bad.
Also, what's the wackiest moment in this movie?
Ooh, wackiest probably when the dude gets the ice cream cone in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Ice that guy. Cone of phrase.
Ice cone of phrase.
That was.
That's the sound of that was the sound of a satisfying high five.
Yes.
There was so many. Just,
Two of 'em.
There's so many wacky moments. There was the stock scream when Hamlet threw the guy out the window and he like flew on he's on the wires and he flies back into the stained glass window. Pretty wacky. Also when the truck goes off the ramp and then the guy flies off, but like it's clear that he's in a
harness.
That he's like being lifted up like whoa.
I'll say the wackiest moment is car chase. Turn down the street. Now we're like on the Sony backlot, but like not in like the backlot part, but like just the alley part.
Mm-hmm.
He does a 180, parks his car. They do the game of chicken. The bad guys can't do it. They crash their car into a lingerie shoot, and a bunch of girls in a bunch of cheeky onesies scream in terror. And it's just like, and the camera is just on their asses, like,
Yep.
like shamelessly, like male gaze 1000%.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
It's just
here's
a
some butts.
row of asses.
Yeah, ass. Just like, no, not even an attempt to like. It's just so like that. Like, that scene is just like what. We have guns, but we're gonna do a game of chicken, and then it ends this way, and that's when it starts to do all these weird bondagey outfits. Kind of comes out of that scene.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like it cascades. That craziness cascades through the whole fucking movie. You know what I mean?
More wacky moments because there's more than one. Arnold jumping off the roof and doing like acrobats.
Yes.
And it's very obviously not Arnold.
Yeah.
Wiping tar off his face.
Yes, I was
Tar
gonna do-
sticks to some people.
He just with a couple of paper towels.
Also, the most
And his
uncomfortable.
daughter rolls in her huge like Bronco. That
Lifted
flames
Bronco.
out.
Yeah. Also, it made me really uncomfortable, and like whatever, dude. If I'm a prude because I don't care. When the little kid who is 12 walks in, and a college age girl like fucking like makes out with him like and hard. I'm like, that moment took me out of the movie. I'm like, I feel terrible for this girl. Like she has to kiss this kid, and she's like, wait a minute, are you? Oh, he's so cute, and it's just like, what?
Another wacky moment, so I gotta bring this back. Using the electricity to shock the guy to fire his gun.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's so good, dude. That whole shootout was amazing.
Like there's the thing is like when these gags happen, like they hit and they
It hit hard.
They hit hard. And they're,
Never leave home without it.
oh my god. Too much. Okay, so yeah, there's too many wacky moments to count in this movie.
I mean, you guys got anything else? I'm exhausted. I mean, we've got the nitpicks and we've got the Q&A coming up, but is there any general things you guys want to talk about?
Again, as we've discussed, movie was way ahead of its time. A really sharp comedy. Not perfect.
And
by a
I
long
mean,
shot.
not to bring this back up again, we don't. And you guys could just give me a quick yes or no. Do you think this movie is a little bit rudderless thematically?
Yes.
Rudderless?
Like, I don't think this movie has a statement to say about anything.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lot of really delicious elements, but there's no meal at the end. You know what I mean?
Which is a question I want to ask, which maybe we'll save for the question part. But it's like, how do you think this should have ended? Because obviously it ended.
We'll say that for the.
Because I mean, like, you think about it, like, in order for it to make a statement and to be actually about something, like, it had to have ended obviously a different way. But
we'll end with that question. That'll be one of our last ones.
Because that's something to think about. Thud, thud, thud.
Okay, so let's get into nitpicks and awesome. This is probably some stuff that we've already covered a little bit, but it bears repeating. Also, I mean, not to bury the lead, but fucking, if you haven't seen this movie, find a way to see it, bros, because it is.
I mean, you get the Blu-ray for like $7,
and it's if you have Netflix, you pay $8 a month for Netflix, you get it.
And forget everything they've said about this is one of the biggest bombs of all time.
That has no bearing on this.
It does not matter.
That's just because Jurassic Park. It's like
well, it's unmarked. It's a movie way too ahead of its time, sandwiched right next to a movie that's way in the social consciousness, right?
It's like your Grease 2 going against E.T., you know?
Yeah, you're just destined to fail.
Yeah, like, why would you do that?
So, I got 1 minute on this clock. We'll start with the nitpicks. Shout them out. Why fucking Houdini?
Yeah. Just like really subpar special effects.
Kids acting, especially in the third act of the movie, but especially in the first act of the movie, and especially throughout the whole middle part. Gag.
Yeah, like no, just like ending kind of just falls flat.
Flat ending, yeah. A lot of cigar smoking, and a lot of like cigar smoking is cool in this movie. Also, a lot of getting kids guns in this movie. That kid gets a lot of guns.
He gets a lot of guns. Whiskers just doesn't do much for me.
The animated cat.
I love that.
Oh, that might be your cool thing. The bad guy with the axe didn't like him.
Yeah, kind of just like you throw away. Like he was such a small part of the first of Jack Slater 3, and like why we need to bring him back.
They kind of did nitpick overwrought on his kid dying in Slater 3 and not really paying that off.
Yeah, that was no payoff on that one.
Also, a Coke 18-wheeler, a Baskin Robbins truck, and a scene that is clearly a blockbuster.
Oh, love it.
That's time.
Supposed to be. It's satire.
Yeah, that's not a nitpick. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
If there was Burger King, then that would have been... Because Burger King had a tie-in with them.
Oh.
That would have been the shameless tie-in if they did that, but they didn't.
It was just weird.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
It's fantastic. All right. Cool shit.
Cool shit. We put 60 seconds
Is this
on
cool
the clock.
shit just going to be us doing one-liners with the movie?
It easily could be 10 minutes in there. But we'll see what happens in this next minute. Go. Bike versus car chicken scene, hilarious.
That's pretty good.
Bad guy with the glasses, every line that he said was great. The Hans Gruber guy.
Intentional continuity errors, if you caught him.
I did not catch him. We'll talk about that in a second. This is for blowing up my ex's house, and he slaps him on the wrist. Beautiful.
Don't harm a hair on her head. Pulls out the hair and
tears it in half with build up. Seven Seal being referenced with Ian McKellen, great. The bomb gag at his second cousin's house was amazingly good, where he counts the cards down and he figured out it's a bomb.
Also, the fact that the person is his favorite second cousin, good Lethal Weapon reference to you guys who were
We'll talk about that in a second.
Oh yeah,
Stallone in T2, JVCD cameo, everyone in latex outfits, loved it all.
The Chief and his many broken windows.
Yeah.
As they got more broken as they got yelled at.
Movies mentioned in this in the newspaper ad is Sleepwalkers, Jason, Dracula, and the Seventh Seal. Mm-hmm. Like Sleepwalkers, which recently played at the Cine Family here in LA, and it's like the batshit craziest looking movie. Like
with a role from the great Ron Perlman.
Yep. Ron Perlman.
If he was in this movie as the villain or anything else.
If he was a different villain and it wasn't the guy with the axe. So let's revisit this. The fucking villain from Black Slayer 3. It's just like they keep bringing him back, and it's like, why? You know what I mean? He kills his son. They kind of tease that the kid's like his son, but they never pay that off. in further ways they don't pay things off in this fucking movie.
No.
So,
Also, oh, go ahead.
they,
I mean,
they
does anyone
just-
want to talk about that?
As I said, they spent a lot of time on it, and then with no real payoff.
Yeah.
So why keep it?
And then what is the second cousin? Do you want to add anything to that, or do you want to get the second cousin?
To the payoff. I mean, yeah, I totally agree that they could have done so much more with it because they kind of just leave Jack Slater 3 as it's just that they don't do anything else with it except for kind of sort of bring back Jack the Ripper or whatever, the guy with the slasher. So yeah, it was a little disappointing. I mean, that's all I gotta say about that.
So we get any questions, or do we want
Let's
to
get into
elaborate?
questions.
Okay. Is this good Arnold? And is that such a thing as good Arnold?
This is great, Arnold.
This is him at. I mean, it is kind of like it's his Psycho, where it's everything beyond that is just going to be like, we already know what your bag of tricks are. You've already outdone yourself. We know what you're all about because you're making fun of yourself. Like, where do you go from that? I mean, he tackled more comedy with Junior, and then he went back into action with Eraser.
Eraser is bad. That's bad Arnold.
Yeah,
That's bad
And then
Arnold.
everything else beyond that, you're not really
I'd say good Arnold is like Predator, Commando, this,
Total Recall, Kindergarten
Terminator.
Cop,
Conan.
Conan, definitely.
Twins. You know, like Golden Age Arnold, T2.
But this to me is what separates Arnold from like Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme. He knows what he's doing and has known from the beginning of his career.
Well, but I mean, you know, other than the Expendables, Stallone is still around because he figures it out. But like, you know, JCVD and Steven Seagal, who is
A Buddhist now?
no, he's just a mess. He's just
He's
that guy.
cop,
A big
you know?
fat mess.
He doesn't. He always thought he was so. You know, he took himself way too seriously. And this is Arnold, like really celebrating what he really is, which is a goofy action star.
But I feel like he always knew that though.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
he was a goofy action star and like just embraced it, and that's why I think his movies stand a much better test of time than a lot of his contemporaries.
So would we say that Arnold could pull off the right wisecracking action star?
Yeah, I mean, he's capable of comedy. I mean, he did 2 funny movies before this. So, you know he can do it. So, I don't know what else to say about that.
No. I mean, that's fair. Does this movie come across as satire, or is it just the height of high concept Hollywood filmmaking?
I think it's more parody than satire. Satire usually has that bite to it of like
This doesn't-
you're shaming something, you know, and like exposing its flaws.
This is like a fun romp. Like, we're making fun of... We're using the cliches of action movies as a narrative device.
Yeah.
And it's parodying all action tropes.
I'd say it's parody in the middle when you're in the movie land, and then it's high concept bullshit when you're not in it. Because I feel like it doesn't fall. It's just the end. The end just falls apart. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't.
Because it doesn't have that thematic tie-in.
Right.
It's
So then it
kinda
just
all over the
becomes.
place.
It just becomes like, what are we doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we'd all say this movie holds up. And probably doesn't even hold up. Probably shines now, and only has gotten better since its release.
You know, in Age of Tropic Thunder and other action parody
Well,
movies.
right. Tropic Thunder, Hot Fuzz, these kind of, even to a certain extent, Bad Boys 2, which is like very self-referential, you know what I mean? It really was ahead of its time. It's also one of those rare things where it parodies a genre about being an entrant in it, you know what I mean? It making fun of these movies, but it is one too.
Yeah.
And it's one of the better ones in some ways.
It's got good, clean action scenes in it. Like, cleanly shot, well staged. And, you know, that's just John McTiernan doing what John McTiernan does.
Which brings us to a certain, you mentioned earlier continuity errors that are intentional. What were they? I didn't catch these.
There was a scene where I think he's tying his mom's bow, and then the next shot, it's completely done. I think there's a lot of things when they're editing. There's things where he's falling. Not necessarily there are continuity errors. I mean, there are, but I think there's also a lot of cutting that doesn't work inside the movie world, as if you would have like an action movie that they don't know how to cut certain scenes together. Like when he's falling on the elevator that's being thrown out, like he falls, and then you cut to him actually breaking the glass, like a different cut, like things like that, like bad. I guess more bad editing choices and not smooth continuity flow of a scene to just so you can insert the action if you need to take out a stunt double. You know what I'm talking about?
But we know they're intentional because John McTiernan is so good and has proven that he's such a good
So if it looks dodgy, it's like it's got to be for a reason. But it also could have been because they ran out of money towards the end. But
Could be.
because I was reading that they couldn't refine some of the effects and they couldn't do a polish of it because they were running out of time. They needed to.
I don't
release
think that any of the effects are too bad in this.
They look when you're dealing with. I mean, because they spent so much money promoting it and all this, they threw a bunch of money at it that I think that they couldn't get like ILM or any other people to do credible special effects.
Is there digital? There's no digital effects. It's all practical, right?
Yeah, I think if there are any effects, it's going to be blue screen or like optical composites, things like that, like with the glowing ticket.
I can't think of any real CGI besides the glowing ticket and Charles Dance going
Which,
to the wall.
by the way, that glowing ticket looks phenomenally terrible.
Yes, it is.
I think that effect is in Adobe Premiere, that lightning effect.
All right, so time to play armchair quarterback here. So we talked about your question, Matt, was how should this movie have ended? So how do we think it should have ended?
To tie it with like a thematic element of the kid who escapes the movies and he sees that the movie world is completely different from his world and he likes it better. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you think that? But also you see this like torment of Jack Slater who representation of an actor who keeps on doing these movies even though they're running out of steam and they're.
Is this the Birdman of its day?
It could be. So I don't know. Like I don't know if it's one of those things where maybe he could come into the real world and he experiences why the real world isn't so great and stay in the movie. But on the flip side, he gets shot and I wonder if he should just have died to end the cycle of Jack Slater and become something new with it. I don't know. That could be a thematic element to do. It's a little tricky because you have to like take out certain parts of the movie to make it have sense, but.
And it wasn't even a flesh wound. I think they could have gone simpler and just been a celebration of action movies. Just been like, yeah, they're silly, and yeah, they have all these tropes, but, this kid used them to get out of his world and just embrace that. That's what they can be used for, and just sort of embrace the silliness of it. So.
Yeah, I think I'm more in that vein, too, where it's kind of a thing of like, when we were kids, like I feel like when we were kids, especially us three, there's probably a lot of adults. I know for me and Matt's collective childhood, this happened a lot. Where they're like, you kids' heads are too much in the movies and stuff, right? But it's like, but ultimately we wanted to grow up and be a part of that in some way. You know what I mean? And so it have to be something, in my opinion, something to the effect of that, of like he either stays in the movie or he figures out how to go back and forth or something, and then maybe the illusions that one day he'll make movies, for people like him, and like that, you know what I mean? Something to that effect, you know what I mean? Also, Jack Slater shouldn't learn any lessons. Fuck that.
No.
And also, and now knowing what, in retrospect, right? If we could go back in time and whatever, it'd be like, he's like, I don't care. People will like this or not, and then later the whatever, and then nostalgia. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not gonna learn anything because, in the end, no one wants me to learn anything. Something to that effect. I love the idea that just no one learns anything in this movie. It's just a stupid romp, and then that's it. It's over.
And that's over, and then
and it goes on forever.
The classical definition of a comedy is that the characters don't grow.
You know what? Fuck that. I would say in the end, they get the ticket back, and he's just like, I'm just gonna stay here. This world's way better than mine, and he just stays there forever. In the movies, no one learns anything.
And they punch car windows and don't get hurt.
Yeah. And then yeah.
That hurt.
Tyson House are bulletproof.
So we're wrapping this up here. We're pretty much done. I think we all got a sense of what's going on here, but just for formality's sake, to end this, did you like this movie and does it work?
I like the movie. It works. I have another theory in the vein of Alien 3, but maybe we'll save it.
No. There's no other time for this. Let's do it now.
Maybe that the movie Jack Slater 4 is The Last Action Hero, where the movie, like where he gets sucked in, like he's watching the movie and then the whole movie is a kid getting sucked into the movie and he's watching that and there's no two hour of a stretch.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be. So, but yeah.
And yeah, so basically that. Yeah. Anyway, no, the movie was great. Loved it. Highly recommend it. And it's, if nothing else, it just makes you laugh and it's fun. Especially now more than ever because you know how action movies came and went, and you're getting a revival of action movies in the same vein where they're a little bit smarter, but they still in their base core. It's an action fun romp with one-liners and kooky characters. So it'd be interesting to see a send-up of this superhero comic book movies. That's smart.
I'm sure within the next few
I'm
years
sure.
we'll be good.
A
I'm
smart
sure I
one.
would resent it though. I'd
No,
be
like,
like,
it's
don't
not-
make fun of this shit. I like this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe people still like the action movies and they didn't want to see it be targeted.
I think that is what happened. I think you're making fun of what people like. You know what I mean?
I mean, I still like action movies. So I can appreciate that.
Did you like Birdman?
Oh yeah, I did like.
See, I didn't like Birdman because I feel like Birdman was like, you're dumb for liking this shit. And it's like, hey, bro.
It had that element to it. So, but that's for another.
I can only watch so many movies about unlikable people doing unlikable things unlikably.
True.
Yes.
But back to Last Action Hero. So yes, I like this movie. I think it works most of the time. As we've already discussed at length, there are some issues at the end, and it was a troubled production. Maybe that full vision didn't get out there. But again, it's fun. It's a really sharp parody of action movie tropes. It's funny. It has great lines. Arnold's fantastic. Charles Dance is great. It's just a funny movie. Check it out. You can probably find it on Blu-ray for less than $10.
And I will say, bizarrely, that I do love this movie. I also hate it, certain parts of it. So I would say, if you get the movie, fast forward to when the kid's in the backseat of the car, and then once the Hans Gruber-esque bad guy leaves the scene, just turn it off. Because that's the only good part. I don't know, and I don't think you really need that ending. It doesn't.
No,
It doesn't add anything.
it just they need to wrap it up and have some sort of.
No, you got to watch it because you got to watch Hans Gruber, Bobo Hans Gruber make his jokes because they're really good.
Yep.
So, I don't know, man. I love it it is
Conditional.
conditional love.
Like I said, you gotta take the good with the bad.
Yep. All right, well, that's this episode. Hit us up on Twitter, Speaking Cinema. None of the rest of us still have anything else we want to pimp, right?
I think we're still doing good. So,
Yeah, I'm fine.
just-
I got nothing going on in my life.
Okay.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Watch Last Action Hero.
We'll be back. Another movie, perhaps. It may be teaser. Looking at Matt here, it might be It Follows.
It might
Maybe
be.
if one of us gets to see it.
Yeah, I have to see if I got time for that one.
And then Kingdom of Heaven's coming up, and that'll be it for season 1.
Going out with a bang with Kingdom of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven, a 3.5 hour bang. 3.5 hours?
Closer to 4, actually.
Oh my god!
4 hours? I thought it was only
It's
3 hours.
I think it's like 3:45.
Well,
maybe?
we've recorded this now, and there's no going back. So
No going back now.
yeah.
My money's on 3 hours and
Alright.
10 minutes.
All right.
Well, those are the next 2 movies if we get our shit together. So hit us up. Tell us what you think. We would like to see some feedback. Do you like Last Action Hero? Do you agree with me that the beginning and the ending are total dog shit, but the middle is delicious ice cream? We'll see what happens.
Yes, we will.
All right. Until next time.
Keep it real wherever you are. That's a pain in the ass.
That's not gonna happen. Okay.
All right. So, camera speeds? Not a camera.
Bars and tones?
Sound speed.
Sound speed. Episode 4, SCSMJJ, Last Action Hero. 5, 4, 3, 2. Wait. Welcome to Speaking Cinema, serious movie Jibber Jabber. Fuck it.
Start over.
Do it live.
Planet Hollywood. The weirdest prop they had was like the naked frozen Sylvester Stallone from Demolition Man.
Yep.
I was like, that's what you want to hang in a
Vanilla Ice's
family
jacket.
restaurant.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Speaking Cinema, a serious movie Jibber Jabber, a movie podcast.
coming to you from Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, planet Earth. From the year of our Lord, 1990... fuck it. Okay. We'll take it from... The edit will be after Last Action Hero, and then I'll say this part. I see what I did there.
Woohoo! With awesome steam bag. Could you please not bug my friend?
We're recording.
Get on my notes.
Yeah.
Get your notes out.
We're
Got
here.
my
All right,
notes.
3, 2, 1, and we're back.